my crafty plans. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. Happy end of Planmas. We have made it. Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Today is my last video of Planmas and my last video of the year, and I'm so excited. So in today's video, I'm going to be wrapping up my goal setting process by working on my sticker vision board for the year. This is such a fun spread to put together. And while I do that, I'm going to be answering the last of the questions that I have from the intro video to Planmas, the first video that I posted this month. And I specifically saved all of the questions that are related to like goal setting or things that potentially would be in my goals for this video. So I'm really excited to share that with you. So if that sounds good, we are gonna dive right in, and I'm gonna flip you tabletop view so that you can take a look. So what I'm going to do is set up my word of the year mind map sticker vision board. This is so much fun to make. I honestly don't really revisit this, but it is a really good time. So I'm just really big in the middle, going to letter my word of the year, which is awake. I'm really excited about that word. And then during my goal setting process, I actually picked a subword for each of the 8 Moxie life areas. This is my second year doing that, and I really enjoy that as well. So I have those all sketched out in pencil, and I'm just gonna use my brush pen, which is from Archer and Olive, and I'm gonna letter all of those in. And then I'm just going to grab a bunch of character stickers that I have built up over the years from when I was in my memory planner, and I use those stickers all of the time, and I'm just gonna have some fun and pick some ones that resonate with different goals. Then I'm just gonna cover the whole rest in dot markers using the Moxie Life dot marker so it's in the life areas, and just make a really fun and vibrant spread, just paying homage to my word of the year. And while that's going on the screen, I'm just gonna be answering some of the last questions I have left over from my first video, and these ones are specifically around goal setting, goals, and things that I feel are connected to my goals. So my first question here is, how often do I refer back to my annual goals, and how often I revisit or review them to make changes? So I refer to my annual goals usually once a month, and that's when I'm setting my goals for the month ahead. I will refer back to my annual goals and use that as the starting point to set goals for the next month. Then at the end of each quarter or every 3 months, I will go back and do a more in-depth review of my annual goals. I do this as part of the quarterly reflections process, and I will just read through my annual goals in detail and make any notes about anything that I want to focus on for the next quarter, and also anything that I need to change. I don't physically change the writing on the goal setting page. It looks really pretty, but I will just adjust that and make a note of it if necessary. I only really changed 1 goal last year, but I do just check in with that quarterly to make sure everything is still working for me and still a valid and helpful goal. The next question is, how many goals do I think are sustainable for a year? And that just really depends on what kind of goals you're setting, how specific they are, how big they are to tackle. Are they like a really big project? Is this emotional work that you expect to be completing throughout the entire year? Is this a habit you want to accomplish throughout the entire year? There is definitely not a right answer here. I have 21 goals written down in my annual goals this year. That is probably a few less than last year. I actually have 3 in every Moxie Life area except for fun and recreation, where I have 2, and finance, where I have 1. But for example, that 1 goal in finance has like a bunch of subheadings under it. I also think it's important to have a mix of kinds of goals, and I don't mean like between the different life areas, which obviously if you're using Moxie Life, that is going to happen, but a mix of goals that are habits, goals that are emotional work, and goals that are, I will say, physical work or like project-based goals. Moxie Life also encourages you to have 1 to 3 stretch goals for a year. These are like the really big goals that require a lot of work. This year I have 3, which is definitely a lot for me, but 1 of those is project-based. It's something in our house, and then 2 of them are more emotional work that I'd like to do throughout the year. When I write my goals, one thing that I like to think about is 1, what kind of work is it? And 2, how much time does it take? So one of my goals, for example, is around vacations. Well, planning and going on a vacation takes a lot of work in a very short amount of time, right? I spend the time planning for the trip and we physically go on it, but it's not something that I'm working on every day throughout the year. Once it's done, it's done. And in a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, it's not something I'm spending a lot of time about. It's something I spend my time on when it's relevant. And then once it's done, and it's not a part of the things that I'm working on anymore. Versus, for example, a goal for my work and learning category, which is about being thoughtful and
strategic with which projects I accept for my business. Well, this one doesn't actually add any physical time to my day anywhere. It's just a philosophy or approach. So as I'm reading project specs, keeping this in mind, it's just a reframing of how I already do something. So I don't really think that this is going to actually add any time that I wasn't spending already on this. It's just approaching my thought process from a different way. And then we can contrast that to one of my stretch goals for the year, which is in the physical environment category. And that's around creating a cleaning, maintenance, and project management system for our entire home. And that's something that I actually think is going to take quite a bit of time, one, to create, but also even just to live in. It's going to be work throughout the year. So again, just having a mix of different kinds of work, of different kinds of goals, I think is overall more important than the actual number. I also got a question about what my freelance business is. Not necessarily a goals related question, but kind of fits in since it's one of the life areas. I'm not going to get too specific for privacy reasons, but prior to having kids, I worked in consulting and kind of on the financial side of a specific industry. Before I had kids at all, I actually used to travel quite a bit and see clients. And then after my oldest was born, I did actually return to work, but I took a different role. And then I was just a manager of more of the consultants who did travel to see clients. After my second, I initially returned back to work, but it just wasn't working for me anymore. And I did end up leaving after that. And my freelance business actually started just by subcontracting back to the company that I had left, working on specific projects for them kind of behind the scenes. I don't actually do that anymore, but it was a really great way to get started. And a former mentor and colleague of mine actually set me up with the agency that I use now. Overall, the work is very similar though, a lot of financial due diligence work. And then I am sure you've heard me mention writing a bunch when I talk about what I do. One of the other things that I do now also through this agency is I write for their publicly facing website, kind of like industry news and analysis. And then I also have like a couple of regular reports that I do through them as well. And those are especially great because one, I get paid commissions on them, which is fantastic, but they also lead to other writing opportunities with the public facing website and also to other consulting opportunities. It's been really fantastic. At first, it was like a really great way for me to just stay in touch with my industry while mostly devoting my time to being a stay-at-home parent. I initially only worked about like 10 hours per week. Things have grown from there. And as I said in my reflections vlog, my freelance business at this point, it feels like a career and I plan to devote that energy to it and continue to grow. And the last question that I have here that I thought was perfect to lump in with these goal setting questions, even though it's not necessarily about my goals, is how do I retain such high energy? First, just thank you to the person who sent in this question. That feels like a question and also a compliment. Some of that is most certainly natural. I am definitely a very excitable person in general, and I am very expressive and emotive in my voice, and just especially when it comes to like surprise and excitement. On the channel here, you get to see me at probably my most excitable and high energy. I love planners, I love stationery, I love crafting, and I love producing this content. And I do think that that comes through and makes me seem very, very high energy all of the time on my videos. But I certainly have times throughout my day and my week where I have significantly less energy. I'm just not typically filming during those times. The things that I think most help me retain my high energy, one, getting a good night's sleep. I try and go to bed by like 10 p.m. every night, and I'm usually awake around like 6:15 or so. So I am pretty good about getting a good night's sleep, and I am also a good sleeper in general. And two, doing things that you are passionate about and that help recharge you, whether that's planners, whether that's reading, taking a nice bath at the end of the long day, like things that just make me feel good and make me want to keep going. And I just find restorative, just making sure I'm getting enough time to do those things and making sure that I get a break from the things that do drain my energy. But yeah, just always remember to, while in general, I definitely consider myself to be a high energy person and also just a really happy person. This is social media, and while I am my authentic self here, you are not seeing every minute of my life. It is absolutely okay to have downtimes. I definitely do as well. And then I just kind of engage with the things that recharge me until I feel better again. To wrap this up, I'm just going to read what I wrote about what my word of the year means to me. And again, my word of the year is awake. And I wrote, I am present, aware, and engaged with my life. I am actively building towards the things I want, big and small. That is my philosophy for this next year. And I am so excited to live it.
Well, that is it for today and for PLANMAS. I hope you enjoyed this video today and my videos all month long. I will be back next year with so much more planner fun, so stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. If you missed any videos, you'll have a chance to catch up on all of them now. I will link my PLANMAS playlist below, and I will be back with a new video in the new year. We'll be setting goals for January, doing my family organizer, all of my regular planning things. If you've got any video ideas that you want to see in the new year, you can leave them in the comments below. Happy PLANMAS. I hope you enjoyed it. If you celebrate Christmas, have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year, and I will talk to you all in January. Thanks so much for watching. As always, bye!